Let's get ready to rumble! You can't handle the truth.
We interrupt our regularly scheduled programming because we have a witness who has come forward with shocking new evidence against President Trump on January the 6th, leading to an insurrection when he violently attacked members of his own Secret Service. We take you now live to the Capitol for the testimony of Cassidy Hutchinson.
The president said something to the effect of, "I'm the effing president, take me up to the Capitol now." To which Bobby responded, "Sir, we have to go back to the West Wing." The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, "Sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol." Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel.
So the media got all excited because now that the Roe v. Wade controversy didn't quite get the bang that they thought it was going to get, and literally another summer of Floyd in the streets, they once again need to keep diverting your attention. So back to January 6th we go, because remember, Adam Schifferbrains has promised there is explosive new evidence just waiting to come to light. So they bring out Cassidy Hutchinson, a former aide who worked in the West Wing. You know, coffee girl, secretary, assistant to an assistant to an assistant. And she had all these shocking revelations that were so gripping that even the media ate it right up. Now, I'm not going to play you the clips from CNN and PMSNBC. Now, we're going to go to Fox News, which I refer to as faux pas news, and the supposed "we report, you decide," fair and balanced. Is there anything fair and balanced about Bret Baier's analysis of Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony?
Inside the beast, the car, the limo, saying he wanted to go up to Capitol Hill. And they said, "You have to go back to the White House." And according to her testimony, he says, "I'm the effing president, take me there," and then goes to grab at him. Listen, this testimony is, first of all, stunning, because we haven't heard this. Two, it's compelling because of her proximity to power. All of these people directly having conversations with her.
Well, Brett, there is this little thing called journalism. Here she sits giving this quote-unquote testimony, which I have been saying for weeks. All of this so-called evidence and testimony is nothing but hearsay, which would not be admissible in an actual court of law. And you would think that in the media, somebody would be relatively curious that after she has just given this so-called testimony that members of the Secret Service were literally physically accosted by the president, that you would bring those Secret Service members in before this hearing, that they would corroborate her story, that you would, as the media, maybe ask the Secret Service, did this really happen? Especially when you're a news outlet like Faux Pas News, formerly known as Fox News, where you are fair and balanced. You know who did it? We knew CNN wouldn't do it. We knew PMSNBC wouldn't do it. NBC did it. ABC did it. Good Morning America did it.
Let's bring in our Chief Justice Correspondent, Pierre Thomas. And Pierre, the Secret Service has already issued a statement in response to Hutchinson's testimony.
Michael, good morning. That's right. That statement says that agents are prepared to give sworn testimony in relation to these new allegations. Two sources familiar with the investigation tell me that when President Trump returned to his motorcade after giving that speech on January 6th, he requested that agents take him to the Capitol. Those sources told me that Robert Engel, one of the agents in the car, said something to the effect of that being unwise or dangerous, and that the motorcade was going to return the president to the White House. A source close to the Secret Service tells me that President Trump was apparently not happy with that answer, but the agents in the car would push back against any allegation of an assault by President Trump and the allegation that he reached for the steering wheel.
Hey, Brett, we call that journalism. You start asking around, hey, this incredible testimony we just heard. You would contact your people within the White House, within the Secret Service Department, say, did this really happen? Can we corroborate this? If you're waiting for Adam Schiff and Liz Cheney, daughter of war criminal and war profiteer Dick Cheney, to corroborate it, forget it. Nothing they have done has been the presenting of evidence. It is the presenting of a narrative, of propaganda. And once again, they have face planted. She's lying. And how do we know she's lying? Again, why didn't the committee have any other follow-up witnesses? If her testimony is the truth and it's ironclad, then wouldn't you welcome the people to be there who were actually there? Because, see, we got a whole lot of problems with what she's saying, and we'll get into that. But here is a former director from the Secret Service kind of laying out what should have happened here.
Let's bring in Chuck Marino, former Secret Service supervisory special agent. He was part of the security details of former Presidents Clinton, Bush, and Obama. Good morning to you. Thank you for being with us.
Morning. Thanks for having me.
Now, these Secret Service agents being willing to testify that these claims are not true, is that their duty, or are they showing allegiance to the president they vowed to protect?
Now, I think what you're seeing from the Secret Service statement that was issued last night is that they've been cooperating with the Select Committee's investigation from the beginning, and they're willing to continue to do so, specifically responding to the allegations that were made yesterday. Look, Ms. Hutchinson's statements yesterday are very concerning, but they're not absolute. They still need to be verified. And, you know, the typical investigative process here would have been for the Select Committee to hear from Ms. Hutchinson and then immediately verify this with the two Secret Service agents that have been mentioned in testimony. But they chose not to do that before holding the public hearing. So now they need to do that in retrospect.
But we all know this committee is not going to ask these Secret Service officers to come before them under oath and testify. Why? Because they already know the answers they're going to get. That no, the president didn't grab the steering wheel of the beast, and no, he didn't grab one of the Secret Service men by the neck. It didn't happen. Disgruntled that he couldn't go to the Capitol? I'm sure he was. Utter a couple of expletives about wanting to go to the Capitol? I'm sure he did. Like none of the other presidents have ever disagreed with their security detail about something they wanted to do or someplace they wanted to go, and their security detail told them, Mr. President, it's not safe. My job is to protect you. You can't go there. You don't think even Obama Biden has never heard that from the security detail, or Barack Obama, or George W., or Ronald Reagan, or Bill Clinton, and yada, yada, yada. So, again, this whole thing is innuendo, and it's hearsay. Let's listen to the fuller context of what Cassidy Hutchinson had to say.
When I returned to the White House, I walked upstairs towards the Chief of Staff's office, and I noticed Mr. Ornato lingering outside of the office. When I went in, he shut the door, and I noticed Bobby Engel, who is the head of Mr. Trump's security detail, sitting in a chair, just looking somewhat discombobulated and a little lost. I looked at Tony, and he had said, "Did you effing hear what happened in the Beast?" I said, "No, Tony, I just got back. What happened?" So once the president had gotten into the vehicle with Bobby, he thought that they were going up to the Capitol. And when Bobby had relayed to him, we don't have the assets to do it. It's not secure. We're going back to the West Wing. The president had very strong, a very angry response to that. Tony described him as being irate. The president said something to the effect of, "I'm the effing president, take me up to the Capitol now." To which Bobby responded, "Sir, we have to go back to the West Wing." The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, "Sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol." Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel. And when Mr. Renato had recounted this story to me, he had motioned towards his clavicles.
Well, right out the gate, in an actual judicial process, this would be thrown out because it's hearsay. A judge wouldn't allow it. And if this had been somehow worked into a testimony, the defense attorney, because right now Donald Trump doesn't have anybody in there defending him, a defense attorney would have immediately been allowed to call in rebuttal witnesses to what she just said. Because again, she admits she wasn't actually, quote, in the beast. That supposedly people who were in the beast called her into an office and told her what happened. And now those very people are coming forward saying, no, that is not what happened, and we will swear it under oath that did not happen. The other little comment that she made when she walked in there and looked over at Bob, that he looked distraught. And then immediately a defense attorney would have said, objection. The witness is not an expert in a person's state of mind or what they're thinking or how they're feeling, to which immediately the judge would have said, sustained, and he would have turned to the jury and he would have said, strike that. And then he would have given the witness a warning. Do not testify about what you think a person is thinking or feeling, and only give testimony to what you directly heard and what you directly know. Period. This is what it is. It is a farce. It is designed, as we have been saying, to keep Donald Trump from being able to run again. And this is the ultimate faceplant. They pulled the plug on these hearings because they knew nobody was watching. So they needed to do something to we got to get people engaged, and like Rachel Madcow with the Trump tax return that she really didn't have, but it was built up for 24 hours on PMSNBC that she had it. And when she showed just a little piece, well, Shazam, Batman, it showed that, yeah, he made a lot of money and he paid taxes and he was, pretty benevolent in what he gave away to charity. You talk about, it's like Geraldo back in the 1980s opening Al Capone's safe on live television and it was empty. There's an old adage within the law that lawyers use. Don't ask a question you aren't prepared to hear the answer to. Or don't ask a question you don't already know the answer to. They were hoping for the Big Bang. They initially got it because Brett Baier decided to just be a mindless dupe and say, her testimony, it was compelling. She was there. Somebody who pours coffee is not necessarily somebody who's on the inside, and if they're calling her into offices and they are taking her into her confidence, I hate to say what that's about. You really think that this aide is being taken into the confidence of these people, or is there something else that they would like to go on, which is why they want to talk to a, quote, beautiful woman? Look, she's there because she's got a book deal. And this is a way for her to get, her $1 million signing bonus for her book deal. That is what this is, because again, the other people who work in the West Wing will not cooperate with this investigation, which is not really an investigation. At one point I thought McCarthy not allowing any Republicans to go in there and push back. I wondered, are you really trying to hang President Trump out to dry? And maybe, just maybe, it was a stroke of accidental genius or brilliance. Because, see, the longer you just let these libloons do what they want to do and put this together their way, the American people have figured out really quickly, you got nothing. You got nothing but gossip and hearsay, and you have yet to provide a shred of evidence. You've got absolutely nothing. And President Trump, the longer this goes on, actually the more popular and galvanized he becomes. He just had some big primary wins last night, which is why the media is not talking about it. He still remains the most popular former president within the GOP, even surpassing Ronald Reagan. And he still yields the greatest influence, which is why the media will not get their wet dream fantasy of Trump and DeSantis squaring off in a primary, bludgeoning each other. It's not going to happen. If Trump decides he wants it, DeSantis will step back. And in reality, the media is hoping DeSantis runs because they think DeSantis will be easier to take down than Donald Trump will. And the reason they believe that, and by the way, I think Governor DeSantis is a good guy. I think he's a decent guy. I think he would make a fine president. But he doesn't have that same grit that Donald Trump has to punch back and punch back harder. And when the attacks come against Ron DeSantis, will he be able to fend them off like a Donald Trump? I said about the Supreme Court justices that Donald Trump picked that every Republican, including Ben Shapiro and the rest of the never-Trumpers who do like his Supreme Court picks, the reason they need to thank Donald Trump and be indebted to Donald Trump, I think everyone pretty much knows that if a George Bush or, heaven forbid, a Mitt Romney had ended up as president, even if he had picked or nominated a Brett Kavanaugh, once the hit the fan, he would have abandoned Brett Kavanaugh. He would have called a press conference and said, we need to find a justice less polarizing, which is code for moderate liberal. See, Donald Trump not only made the right picks, he fought for them. He stuck with them. And you have to wonder, would an establishment Republican have done that? Probably no. We have watched presidents pull back on their Supreme Court nominees. Trump didn't. Trump dug in, he fought, and he got it. They don't want to run against Donald Trump again. Now, some of us would say that's because they know what really happened the last time. But, I got to be careful how I say any of that, right? So, Cassidy lied. Now, somebody here is lying. Did one of these guys tell her a little bit more than what really happened? Because he's trying to make her think what a big wig deal he is. And now he realizes, no, that never happened. Or she just flat out lying. Because then she can also claim they're lying about me because they're sexist and that was the Trump White House. This just becomes another chapter to her book. And she's just another grifter who's figured out a way to make money off this. Oh, and by the way, she's got a brand new lawyer, which is all of a sudden, the January 6th committee springs back into action. And if I were a Democrat, I would have had it by now with Adam Schiff, because He keeps promising big and delivering nothing. Remember, he had seen the overwhelming evidence that would convict Trump of Russia collusion, and it never happened. And then he had the goods to impeach Trump, and it never happened. I would think even George Soros at this point, who keeps funding and driving these things, the Trump-Russia collusion, the impeachment, and now this, that even he would have to say to his daughter, I don't care that you're married to Adam Schiff and he's my son-in-law. He is a complete moron and he doesn't know how to deliver, and everything keeps getting blown up on him, and he continually looks ridiculous, which in turn now is making me look ridiculous. You want to stay married to him? That's your business. Don't drag me into this loon's world, because Adam Schiff can't deliver, which again could be a stroke of brilliance on McCarthy's part to not be involved and to let these libloons and Liz Cheney hang themselves, because before the entire country now, they have completely face planted. Cassidy Hutchinson is a liar.